Welcome to today's episode of Living Real. I'm Clara Capano.
I'm Karissa Adkins.
And we are here to help you boss up and gain clarity in every aspect of your life. So I am really excited about today's topic because we are talking about not just the idea of bossing up, but really looking at women who bossed up before bossing up was even a thing, and then also going into some strategies that are going to help us with that.
Yes, 100%. I've been like waiting for today's episode because I just love it, right? We're in a book called Boss Up. There's so many amazing things we love that, and it's really a mindset. We're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. But first, we're going to let Dion do his thing and make us up some gorgeous cocktails.
Hello, ladies. Hi. Speaking of bossing up, well, let me tell you what was around before bossing up. Asian culture. All right, and with that being said, today I am going to do the ancient art of the sake tini with you. All right, and so we're going to start out with some momokawa. This is a pearl sake. It's a little bit on the sweeter side. Definitely goes with everything. You can literally have sushi with this. I live off of sushi most days. It is absolutely delicious. And you can get it in most places that sell sake, and even a few places that don't normally sell sake.
And what was that called again?
Momokawa pearl sake. Okay. It's a nigiri sake. And next we're going to have our Vermont Blanco vermouth. It's made by Alania. This is going to add some vanilla notes. The reason I like this is whenever I think about the James Bond martini, I always like having them with this instead of Lillet Blanc. It just adds a whole nother dimension to the mouthfeel. Very delicious. And last but not least, we're going to add just a small amount of limoncello.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Now, I make my own homemade limoncello, which, on one of these shows, I am definitely going to have to come on and show off my limoncello.
Please do. My sister makes her own, too, and so there's always a bottle in my freezer.
Ooh, Italians. And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of Bitter Truth Tonic Bitters. Now, this bottle is going to be a little bit hard to see. I picked it up as an experiment, used it, fell in love with it. It is wonderful. And we're going to stir this cocktail. I know it's a little unusual to see me stir a cocktail because I love to shake.
I know.
We know
but,
you do.
I figure I'll just shake and stir at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was essential oils he was about ready to dump in. I'm like, okay, where are we going?
All right, and then once we're done with our stir here, we've reached absolute zero, which means this cocktail is not going to get any colder than it actually is right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to strain that into our glassware.
Oh, so cute.
I know. I love the little garnish, too.
I'm pretty sure he said we should just sip on this. So that means it's maybe going to sneak up on me.
Quite possible. He has a tendency to have his drinks do that.
And here we go. We have our sake tinis here for you. And thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Dion.
Anytime.
Okay, here we go. Our sake tini.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Ooh. Yes, I can taste the sake in there. It's actually gorgeous. And what I love about this is bossing up. This is totally bossing up.
This is a bossed up drink. And you guys can't see this. We've got some grapes in the little box, a little lemon wedge.
So the peel, but everything, right? It's an experience in a box. And I think that, Boss Babes, we pay attention to details. And I really do appreciate this adorable, I don't want to say little drink, because I'm sure it's
packs a punch, which is what most women do.
I mean, come on, you're right. You're right.
But no, this is a perfect drink for a perfect topic around bossing up.
I love that.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I look to do every year is that we go into the year, and I know a lot of people do this as well, is we come up with maybe a word or a phrase of the year that sort of exemplifies what we want to step into and what we want to manifest for ourselves. So do you have a word or a phrase for the year for 2022?
Yes, I would say, 5 years ago, I finally started this whole idea of like a word or a phrase, and it's kind of like an intention, if you will, for how you do it. And I'm a huge words person. I could literally just have tattoos of words all over my body because words mean so many things. But this year, instead of doing a word, I went ahead with like a phrase, and it's kind of like an affirmation. So and every time I say this, you guys, I'm actually manifesting more and more of this to happen. Like it is, when we can start saying it and we start believing it, then it starts to come true. And you guys all know, if you haven't heard, I'm on a mission to make $1 million this year. I am on a mission to help 1 million people this year. And I'm on a mission to just look and feel my best, right? I'm constantly trying to up level and boss up, if you will. And so my I am statement is, I am a badass boss babe. I make 1 million, I look like 1 million, I feel like 1 million, and I impact 1 million. So that's my phrase. It's literally on my bathroom mirror, it's on my office desk, it's on my laptop. I'm surrounding myself with that affirmation, and every single day I think about it. And again, it's not just about the making of the money, right? It's about the impact that money is going to be able to do for me. So that is it.
Yeah.
It's a very bold statement. I'm putting it out there.
And it's going to come to you, I have no doubt. So that's wonderful. For me, I chose the word this year, believe. And we've talked about the idea that I love my checklists. I can be very direct, very goal-oriented. I struggle with surrender. I struggle with just letting things happen, and I try to force things so much. And so this year I am trying to open myself up to feeling a little bit more intuitive and surrendering to let greatness come to me. So I am believing in the process. I am believing in myself. I am believing in my value, and I am believing that greatness in all aspects are going to be coming to me.
That's so good. And I think that belief, I mentioned briefly manifesting and, owning this and dreaming it and thinking it and saying it, and then it's going to come true. Belief is a very core value of it all. I mean, if you don't believe you're worthy enough to do anything, you're never going to do it. If you don't believe you're going to lose 20 pounds, you'll never do it. Like, you can push all you want, but the universe is always going to be like, just kidding. You don't believe it, right? You don't believe it. So typically, I don't know, what do you think? Like when we set these new phrases and words and affirmations, sometimes it's because we've reflected back on the year prior and we want to boss up, right? We want to find a new level of clarity. We want to boss up to the next level. So did you reflect back and how did you even come up with the word believe? How did you say, Clara, I want you to be more intuitive this year?
I really sat down and I did reflect on last year, and maybe looking at some of the areas where maybe I held back a little bit and could have pushed forward a little bit more. And so I came up with words. Last year, my word was unstoppable.
Okay.
And so I came up actually with 5 different words that I thought might fit. Some of them were fearlessness, again, purposeful, all these. And so I actually put them down and I sent them off to my coach. And I said, based upon you knowing me, based upon you knowing my goals, which of these words do you think is the right one? And she came back with believe. She's like, I think this is the one you need to work on. And I said, I agree.
Yeah, because it's easy to do. It's easy to just take those steps forward, but our coaches can see the stuff that we're not quite ready to see.
Exactly.
Or that we're like, I would have put that last, but she's like, no, actually, if you put that first.
Right, because it is a mindset. And when you really do start to believe in all of those things that you have, you become that.
Right.
And
100%.
That's what you start stepping
100%.
into. And even with your phrase, looking at that, and you will become that person who makes and creates the $1 million.
Yes.
And remember, these affirmations, these words don't have to be around money or business. It could be, I am present in all of my interactions. It could be, I am worthy. I love and accept myself as I am. So there could be all just different ones, but it's that idea of really connecting with the vision of who you are when you're at your best, and knowing that you can get there.
And what you want, right? It's okay to want big things.
It is.
And you got to work on like that belief system, because if it's not updated, you're just not gonna get nowhere.
Yeah. So let's tap into this idea of it's okay to want big things, because that's really, for me, when you think about, bossing up and going to the next level, it's going after big goals and big dreams. And we've talked in the past about the concept that success leaves clues. And one of the things that I know that I have really tried to do is look at other women who have taken chances, because all those chances that they've taken throughout time have paved the way, all those little baby steps, so that we could be here. And the steps that we're taking today are going to pave the way for the next generation. Can you think of a woman, it could be someone maybe in your industry that inspired you, or just someone in general that inspired you, that you look to and helps you to step into your greatness?
Oh, well, I know I said that I may have one. I think I just thought of a second one, as you so beautifully guided me to think of one. So first off, Rachel McClain, right? She's, and you are not going to know every woman, right? We find women who inspire us for certain reasons, right? And Rachel inspires me because when you read her story, she's a small town girl from Texas, because kind of was raised to be this cheerleader, this dancer, and just kind of was pushed in one direction. Her mom had nothing to do with health and fitness, but her dad had everything to do with health and fitness. And she was like, this dancing thing is great, this, these cheerleaders, like, it's great, but I feel like that's what all these women do, right? It's their job. And she's, she was Miss Olympia in the 80s, okay? So she kind of grew up then in the 70s and in the 80s, and it wasn't cool to boss up and get muscular as a woman. Like, be feminine, be a dancer, be a ballerina, just be someone else that you're not. And deep down, she was like, I want more. I want my body to look more. I want to do what my dad does, and so he was into fitness, and so she's like, let me learn, take me to the gym, and just fell in love with it, I think. And I can relate to that, because I remember it wasn't about losing the weight, but I really stepped into my power when I felt strong, right? So when I felt strong physically, I started to begin that I was like, I'm strong mentally. I can do anything, right? If I can sculpt my body to look a certain way, I can sculpt my mind, I can sculpt my environment. So I really love Rachel, 1980, first bodybuilding competition. In 84, she was crowned Miss Olympia, which is just unheard of. And even the bodybuilders then do not look like women today. Bodybuilders, like, two totally different things. But yeah, she went from bodybuilder. Her career was very short in that field, but she went to author, to entrepreneur, to gym owner. But what I really connect with her with is this sense of she just wants to help women be healthy. Be healthy, right? Be healthy, be happy, and live your best life. And I that's my mission, right? Like, I'm here to help women boss up and get healthy in their life. The second woman that, when you mentioned, that earlier, was it has to then go back to my mom. I talk about her a lot, but my mom was, I idolized her, and I loved it, because she showed me that hard work will take you anywhere. Right? She wasn't always rich, but she did show me that hard work, you can get anything done with hard work. And so, yeah, I think that she's kind of paved the way for me in that aspect. What about you?
I love those. So I have two that I would like to highlight as well. There's so many. One would be my great-grandmother, who I never have had the pleasure to actually meet. But Grandma Mills, she was on my father's side. She was the one that really ran the infrastructure of her town. She ran a hotel that she then opened up a restaurant in, and sort of the general store. What she also did is, as far as helping the community, she was basically the local bank of the community. And when people needed things done to their home or money to put a down payment on, she would actually lend them money.
Oh my gosh.
Here it and all these things I have just been finding out over the last few years, but this idea of, I had an entrepreneur, before entrepreneurialship really went, and here is this woman back in the early 1900s, paving the way and helping other people achieve their dreams. So
That's
I thought
so
that was a really amazing
total boss
legacy
up,
story.
Grandma.
I know, thanks, Grandma Mills. And the other one from a professional perspective would be fashion designer Diane von Furstenberg.
Okay.
And one of the things I was listening to an interview that she had, and one of the things I love that she said is, growing up, and she's probably in her 70s right now, and growing up in a time where, again, women were told to pipe down and, to hide behind the scenes. She had come out and said, she's like, I wanted to be a man in the essence that I wanted the strength, I wanted the power, I wanted the recognition, I wanted to take charge. She's like, and I still was feminine and I wanted to own that. So her big claim to fame is she created the ever famous wrap dress that so many women wear this day. And the idea was it was something that was going to allow a woman to go into the boardroom and take control, yet also still look beautiful and feminine. And it's a dress till this day that fits everyone. And it makes every woman feel much more confident. But just listening to her, the idea that she owned her sexuality. She wasn't ashamed to say, no, I've had several lovers throughout my life. She owned that. She didn't ask for permission in things that she went. She went after her goals. She was really instrumental in redefining New York City and an area called the High Line and getting people together to create a whole new environment where people could go and share the beauty of the city. So I just think, she's someone that on so many different levels was able to bring in the harmony of both the masculine and the feminine side together and show you how you can bring them.
I think you bring up an interesting point, because for so long I just tapped into my masculine energy, and it's easy to do, especially when you grow up with a boss babe and hustler, and it's easy to just grind through, because that's what guys do, right? They don't really typically, they sit around with a cigar, they network with each other, they help each other, and then they boss up to the next level of awesomeness, and they do it, right? They're like A, B, C, check the marks, and that's just how we do it. Where women, they're not as strategic, because we have these awesome things called emotions, and this intuition that the divine just gave us, and we forget, I think, over the years to really step back and follow that intuition, right? Like your gut tells you everything. Your mind, your body has so much wisdom. We just choose not to tap into that energy because we're in this hustle mode. We're in this like go, go, go. But I think both when you and I would agree that. I think you would agree that when you can tap into both the feminine energy as a coach as well as the masculine energy, then I think it's really easy to boss up and become unstoppable.
Yeah. There's a great book, and I can't remember who the author is, but it's called How We Decide. And what they talk about is making higher level decisions.
Okay.
And that when you want to make good decisions, meaning that 30 days from now, you would make the same decision. You want to make what they call balanced brain decisions, because our brain is divided into the left hemisphere, which is more logical and rational, and then the right side, which is more emotional and heartfelt. And I see the same thing. Bossing up doesn't mean that you're going to be cutthroat. It doesn't mean that you're going to win at all costs.
Right.
It doesn't mean that. It also doesn't mean that you're going to play small.
Right.
So I think just even the term bossing up is a great way to find that harmony and to make those balanced decisions of bringing, again, the energy of both the masculine and the feminine, and finding a way to have them resonate together so that you can still be strong and still feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beauty that women have. And that is something I think that gives us the edge over most men, is because we can be tremendous leaders with a lot of fortitudeness, a lot of direction, but we can also still feel.
Yeah. You mentioned redefine, like what. It's funny, I have a podcast, and it's called BossUp Babes, and every time I get a guest on the show, I say, what does bossing up mean to you? And we do this with health, we do this with holidays, so why not do it with bossing up? So Clara, what does bossing up mean to you?
It means not playing small. It means living in my authenticity. It means stepping into fear. And it's also allowing myself to be vulnerable.
Love that.
Yeah, so what about for you?
Love that. To me, it's all about courageous action, I think, right? Like seeing the fear and saying, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to have that faith. But yeah, bossing up means doing the damn thing, getting it done, and, being you. And I feel like you finally make it I feel like I finally made it when people are like, they literally will DM me and they're like, I love that you are so real.
Yes.
And that you don't give a F, right? They will say this in the DM because so many women are afraid to say what they mean, to say what they feel, to not care what people think. And so, yeah, as a boss up babe, like I think I've mastered that. Like, and of course I'm a work in progress at all times, but I'm like, cool, this is scary. I'm going to do it anyways. Or I'm like, oh, that seems scary. It's time to boss up. You know, it's just a decision. And so when you're at a point in your life and, you know, it's time to either pivot or stay stuck, like you're going to have that choice. We all felt it in COVID, right? With businesses, we're like, we can either stay here or we need to pivot and go into a different direction. That's bossing up. That's bossing up.
I remember someone once said to me when I asked her when, you know, she was sort of at the crossroads, and she said, you know, I had the fear of stepping into the unknown or the fear of staying where I am. And she's like, I decided I was more afraid of not growing and staying where I am. And so I think that's another one is it is scary to go into the unknown, but you have to. And I want to tap into this idea which talked about being authentic, because I had the same exact experience for so many years when I was finding my voice. You know, I tried to talk and act and move and deliver messages the way that my mentors did it, because I wanted to be like them. And for whatever reason, even though I was having success, I wasn't connecting.
Yeah.
And it was finally when I got to the point where I just started shedding other people's expectations and other people's messages.
Yeah.
And I started, you know, being like, no, this is what it is. You know, so many people started connecting with me. And the one thing I hear from them all the time is, I love your energy. I'm so attracted to how real you are, how open you are. And that was something I never heard in my 20s.
No.
And so I think you know, that would be a message that I would want to pass on to others is, you know, own who you are.
Yeah.
You know, your message, your story is yours, and it's what makes you beautiful. And deliver it in a way that's going to be authentic to you, because nobody can do you as good as you can do you. So really understand
there's might as well be the best one.
Exactly. And so I think that's a big message, you know, so I would just encourage any woman, whether, you know, you're bossing up in your personal life, your business, where you're at the precipice of change, you know, really hone into your authenticity.
I agree. And yeah, you are absolutely right. Nobody ever said, Karissa, you're so amazing in your 20s. You know what I mean? Like, we love you. And it showed, right? I was 213 pounds. I hated my life. I was depressed. I was obese. Like, I was like, I don't even know who I am.
Exactly. And it's hard to have a voice when you don't even know who you are.
Right. That's like how do you find your purpose, and how do you find that passion and boss up, and how do you find the confidence enough to do it? You know, like that courage, like I don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's so hard. We're going to talk about some strategies.
We are.
For women specifically, although it works for men too, we won't leave you out. But yeah, some strategies in the second half of this show about how you can boss up, right? How women can boss up, why they need to boss up, so importantly, because we hold so much power and we need to be our best selves. And I feel like when you are that, when you're in full alignment with your mission and your passion and it thrives.
Everything's working on all cylinders, and that's what's going to help you be unstoppable. So I am so excited because I know that, you know, you have a proven system that you work a lot of your clients through in helping them get not just the mindset, but then get the momentum so that they can have the action.
Yes, we're going to manifest it.
Yeah, so stay tuned and make sure that you join us in the second half when we go into the strategies that are going to help you take action and boss up to your next level. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Clara Capano with Capano Speaking and Training, and I am here to get you clarity. As the strategist for the Smart Woman, I've spent over 20 years working with women in business, helping them to recreate what success looks like for them, to get them off that hamster wheel and to get them into running a purpose-driven business. When you work with me, you're going to find real strategies that are going to help you gain immediate traction in both your personal and professional life. So follow me and find out all you need to get you clarity at claracapano.com.
Welcome back. We are so excited. Today we are talking about how to boss up why you need to boss up and what the heck bossing up even is. And we're just, we're stoked because this is what we do. We love helping women boss up, right?
Absolutely.
It's
so Karissa, let's go ahead and continue our conversation, because I know that when you work with a lot of your women and help them on their health and wellness journey, you actually have a proven strategy, 6 strategies, I believe, that you walk them through to help them get clear on defining bossing up and also how to make it happen.
Yes.
So go ahead and share some of those strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. And these strategies are not just for health and weight loss, anything, right? These are strategies that can help any woman boss up. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about ways you can manifest your best life, right? If you want to achieve X, right, you're going to be able to use this strategy system to really help you do that, because we want to give you those tips and strategies. So we'll just dive right in. So number 1, I always like to say, is you got to get crystal clear, right? And we scream it every single time. Success leaves clues, ladies. So if you're watching us and you're like, why are they talking about clarity again? It's so important. It is so important to identify what it is that you want. And quite often I'll get on a call with every woman, probably 6 a day, and I say, okay, cool, what are your health goals in 2020, whatever, right? And they'll be like, well, I kind of want to do this. They're so vague and wishy-washy. And I'm like, okay, how's that been working out for you? And they're like, well, it doesn't. And I'm like, yeah, because you're not telling the universe what it is that you want. You're not even clear on what you want. And you're so afraid to say what you want based on other people's opinions.
Yeah, I think so many times when we have this idea of saying what it is that we want, from the moment that we think it until it comes out of our mouths, we've already talked ourselves out of it.
100%.
Because we get so stuck on how am I going to make that happen. One of my very favorite quotes is, the vision comes first, the how will find a way.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think you've got to, again, have that clarity, that passion, and really do that and get as specific as you can, because the truth is whatever you put out there, the universe,
that's what you're getting.
That's what you're going to be getting back,
yeah.
Good or bad.
You kind of want to get into shape. You kind of want to start a business.
Nothing
you're
happens
kind of do it, right?
Yeah,
like
nothing
you're
happens
dabbling.
Kinda.
You're not taking action. And, and then in the unconscious, then it's just backing you up. So if you kind of want to lose 20 pounds and you say that and you're still wishy-washy, you still don't even believe that you're capable of it, you're not going to achieve it. Exactly. You're going to find ways to bring you back to that comfort zone of I'm overweight and this is my life and blah, 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 right? So it's very, very important to get really crystal clear on what it is that you want. And the simple strategy is I want blank. Right? And you could even break it down into, I want this for my business, right? I want this for my body. I want this for my relationships. I want this for my house, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But get clear.
Yeah.
Get clear. Quit sending mixed messages. That is definitely strategy number 1.
Yeah. One of the things that I also do with a lot of my clients, and this was something that was taught to me, is I have them create their bucket list, their life list. And the same thing, we look at different categories. So oftentimes it's, what is it that you want to have? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to become?
Yeah.
And what is it that you want to give? And to go through each of those categories and just dream, and really understand, I don't need to understand how that's going to work right now. And to look at those different areas so that you can really bring in that clarity, and also understanding there doesn't have to be a timeline to it.
Right.
It doesn't have to happen in the next week or the next year. This is the path, and this is, what I want to have happen and who I want to become over the course of my life.
Yeah.
And then revisiting that on a regular basis, which goes into the visualization, which I know is another strategy.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to miss strategy number 2, because strategy 3 is actually envisioning this, okay? So strategy number 2 is that you need to get really crystal clear on what your ideal life looks like, right? How you feel, how you act, how you present yourself. So some people would call it a mind movie. I call it a creative visualization. Before we do that, you have to get what does first class look like? What does living the life in luxury look like? What does that healthy body look like? Do you wake up every morning and you jump out of bed and you put on these cute, sexy gym clothes that you feel so good in, and then you go to the gym and you literally do the reps? Your job in step number 2 is to fill in the details. Okay. Every bit of detail, right? And if you can't quite imagine it, because so many women can't imagine what they've never experienced, right? It's really hard for me to experience what living $1 million lifestyle looks like if I've never lived $1 million lifestyle, right?
Exactly.
But that's no excuse, right? I can then go to friends and say, well, what does your lifestyle look like? I can go to Pinterest and literally Google $1 million homes, $1 million bathrooms, chefs. Like, I want you to build the movie, right? So if I said, Clara, give me all the details because I'm going to go produce a movie about it, I better know every single detail.
Yeah.
What do your shoes look like? What does your lingerie look like at $1 million?
So in step 1, I might say, I want to be a millionaire.
Right.
Step 2 would be defining for me what being a millionaire is.
And the details.
The details.
What does it look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Yes.
And all the components
From the minute
of it.
waking up to the minute you go to bed, right? Do you have a chef cooking your meals? Do you have...
Wait, I need a pen. I can write these down.
Yes. Do you get off of a speaking stage and they walk you down off the steps because they don't want the amazing Clara to fall, and then they give you a glass of champagne in the fitting room and they say, Clara, fantastic, you've got fans outside. They want to talk to you and you're signing books. Every detail needs to be put on paper. Okay, so that's kind of step number 2. The third step is the creative visualization. It's the practicing, it's the rehearsal in your head every single day. Now, it doesn't have to be an hour long. It could be 5 minutes, but your movie should have enough details on paper that you can start to envision this. And I learned this tool at such a young age, and I didn't realize it, obviously, as a 6-year-old. Nobody realizes the bigger picture here. But I learned how to create my first visualization. I was a gymnast, and my coach, and I was a competitive gymnast, and I'm a competitive person. I wanted the gold.
Surprise!
Who doesn't want to win, right? In my opinion. But yeah, he said, girls, he looked at all of us, and we're all sitting there cross-legged, and our ponytails are nice and tight because they're like stuck to, we're gymnasts. And he goes, girls, you have been showing up every day. You've been doing the work, you've been putting in, the reps, you've done this routine 1,000 times physically. It's time to go home and practice it mentally. And I kid you not, I can literally go back and I could sit here on this couch, close my eyes, and I could go back and I could feel chalk on my hands. I could feel the audience quiet down right before a big move. I can hear the flap of the number when your score is about to come. I can feel the hype and the anticipation right before, I start my floor routine. I can literally, I can go back into it. That's how many times I practice it. And it's proven, right? Like, look at LeBron James. Look at all these famous...
I know Michael Phelps does it too.
Yes, all of them. They practice, they do the work every single day, right? They're in there doing the work. But they take time and they go and they mental rehearse it. They practice how they want the outcome to come.
Yeah.
Not all the crap that could get in their way.
Exactly.
It's how they're going to feel once they've hit that 3-point and they win the game.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because you mentioned how this was something that was taught to you when you were young, around 6.
Crazy.
That's not the same story for me. I actually was not introduced to the power of visualization as it relates to success in business until I was probably in my mid-30s. And I tend to be very logical and more rational, and explain to me why, because I'm like, I'm not here to do all this woo-woo stuff and, pass around the peace pipe and all that stuff. I'm like, explain to me why. Give me the strategy.
Mom, the mom in you.
So I was like, just tell me why. And it was explained to me the scientific aspect. So for anyone out there that this is new for you and you're wondering why, this isn't just talking. What I really found is that there is scientific basis behind this.
100%.
And what we need to understand is that our brains are wired to find solutions for whatever it is that we tell it,
right?
Good or bad.
Right.
And it's actually a part in our brain called the reticular activating system that is a filter. And when you sit down and you go through that vision, it starts to take it in because it gets into our non-conscious brain, and our non-conscious brain does what it is told repeatedly. And it cannot differentiate between what is real and what is make-believe.
Right.
So as a little girl, when you were going through, feeling the chalk and stepping out onto the mat or the bar or the beam, your non-conscious was, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And so it was believing it. It was believing that you were going to win the event because that's what was happening.
And feeling
it. And that's where I think the power of that visualization is. It's not just the scene, it's feeling all those nuances. Yeah. So I have started doing this one of my favorite things to do in the morning is when I'm working out of my home office is I do sit in front of my vision board and I look at the photos and I bring them in and I do close my eyes. And being a keynote speaker, I can feel the heat coming off of the lights. I can hear, the people in their chairs. I can, hear the clapping or the laughter from when I go through, and I go through my talk and feel the inflections in my voice. And, I leave there and I feel like I did just come off of stage. And it's so amazing how the phone calls follow with the business. And so I have become a true believer. And, so for those of you that this is something new, I highly encourage you to look into it because visualization does work.
And it does not. There's like that big thing of, I don't have time, Karissa, to sit and vision this. I'm like, you don't not have time. You better make time.
Because your dreams, and Mel Robbins, I think, said it best.
Really?
I watched a little video on her, and what she said is, it doesn't have to take, it could take 30 seconds. And she says, don't your dreams deserve 30 seconds? Come on.
I mean, look how quick I spit off what I do. I didn't need to give you all the details. Now, if I had an hour, I would go through that in my mind, on an airplane, something like that, when I've got that time where I'm like, okay, nothing to do besides just sit here and bypass time.
But who doesn't have it? And again, what's the cost of not doing it?
To me, it's a freaking big fat excuse.
Quit
telling you. If you tell yourself you don't have the time, guess what?
You're not gonna have it.
You don't have the time. You're
Exactly.
gonna find ways to back up. I always look at it as an operating system, and it's just old. We need the reboot, right? You got to strip out what you think is true, and re-put something healthier and vibrant. But I want to go back and touch, because you said it, and if you're doing this, you need to sense it with all 5 senses. Okay, we are learners, and so when I say, when on my vision, right, when I get off of a first class private jet, the red carpet, and the champagne glass, I can tell you what the champagne tastes like. I can feel how cold the glass is. So I'm touch, visual, smell, touch, taste, whoever is with me, right? I can feel my husband's presence of security behind me, yet on the plane coming off, right? Like, you have to feel it. I'm so jazzed up about it because it's a powerful thing. So when you can feel, and it doesn't have to be as big as like a keynote, right? Because a lot of women watch it, they don't coach, they're doing their careers, their thing. But you can do this if you're worried about how a conversation is going to go with your partner, right? You can quickly sit down and think about, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to feel confident enough to speak what I want said, right? I'm going, walk yourself through a simple conversation if you're nervous about it, right? The boss, the raise, who hasn't felt one of those,
I know.
Am I going to get it? Am I going to get it?
The conversation that you have to have with a client or an employee, someone on your staff that's a challenging one. But you could also do it with food, making the salad, how wonderful the vegetables, taste when they're in there. We have in the back room, we have some hummus and red peppers, and those red peppers are so sweet and, crispy and crunchy, and, bringing all those in, and it gets you more excited about it when you can really
get you out of bed, right? Like, I don't want to go to the gym at 3:45 in the morning. Who wants to get up when everyone's still sleeping? But I literally will walk myself, I love shoulder day. I love how my shoulders look. I feel amazing after I get out of the gym. Everything, right? Everything. So you guys, but it's hard to get to that level unless you know what you want.
So know what you want.
Write down all the details, so that just writing them down, right? That's your brainstorming.
So that's
session.
Creating the movie. Because writing it down is creating the movie.
Third is actually sitting down daily and rehearsing it. Right? 10 minutes a day. You could do it while you're taking a poop. I don't care, right? Just sit and do it. Strategy number 4 is walk the walk, right? And if I could get up right now, I would show you what a confident boss-up babe looks like, and I can show you the 12 years ago what that version of me looks like, right? So after I envision something every morning, so I do it every morning. It's right before, I don't even turn the computers on, nothing. I am setting my mind up for success first. But then I will get up, drink my coffee like I'm a millionaire, right? And I'm like, ooh, fancy cup, or whatever it is. I'm gonna type, my email. I'm just gonna start the faking till you make it type feel almost, right? You gotta walk the walk. So if you can envision the healthy woman who's showing up and eating healthy and working out every day, then do it, start doing it. A little bit builds that confidence, and now guess what? Your physical environment is now matching what you've already started to believe and now we're bossing up. Like
Yeah.
this is, now we're cooking, right?
Exactly.
We're cooking. We're
I like
cooking.
to refer to it as acting as if.
Yeah,
You're acting as if
that.
you're already there.
Already there.
You know, you're walking the walk, you're doing the activities, you're talking that way, you're holding yourself, you're doing the habits, the disciplines, the right actions that person would do.
I like
and when
it.
you act as if, you start to create those pathways and step into it.
Even if you have to name that future version of you, right? So you'd be like, what would Karissa do?
Yeah.
You know, what would she do?
Exactly.
And you can start to live, you know, your best life that way.
Yeah.
But okay, so next strategy, which you're gonna love, and I'm gonna let you take over because you've said this multiple times, is surrendering the how. You've got us women, we love to control it, right?
Yes.
If I want to make $1 million, feel like $1 million, look like $1 million, and I'm starting to envision it all, sometimes we get caught up in like, well, the to-do list says X, and then I'll get like, that's the strategist in us. I encourage you to surrender the how. Be flexible.
Surrendering is so hard because it requires this little thing called patience that I don't have a lot of.
Yes.
And, you know,
good.
it's really hard. And I think that has been the biggest challenge for me is because I want to make things happen. And I want to make things happen now. And my internal programming dialogue is surrendering to me. I'll say used to mean, because I know I'm reworking it and I'm reframing it.
Good.
But where I came from was a place where surrendering meant giving up. Because I would just let go.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens. And that to me meant I didn't have any control of it. And so therefore I didn't like it because then I felt that everything was up to chance.
Right.
So through a lot of these exercises, I am now reframing that word surrender, and surrendering is not giving up. It's more being open.
Yeah.
It's, again, listening to the intuitiveness. It is trusting and listening to my inner voice that's saying, lean into that, or don't go down there. That may not be the right opportunity to you. So, you know, again, not looking at surrender as a negative thing and just leaving it all to just happenstance. It is still being in control, but it is much more, again, just being open to what's coming in. And it's that phrase sometimes of things are not happening to me, they're happening for me.
I get to go to work instead of I have to. I get to network today.
Exactly.
I get to fuel my body with good food. It's all in that verbiage is huge. It's huge. And you bring up a good point. It's because we don't want to surrender because it comes with a negative, you know, it's like budget thinks like,
surrendering,
oh,
you
I
think of the
can't-
white flag, I'm giving up, I'm giving up.
yeah.
And we have to change that.
Yes, yeah, you got to have, that's where, you know, that faith has to come in. Whatever you believe in, you have to understand that when you can feel it, and you're, you know, the divine put everything out here for us to have, right? Like no one dangles a carrot in front and then should never give it to you. Like that's not the universe. That's not how that works.
Right.
They want to see you succeed because that's in you, your greatness, right? Like Clara the Amazing, she's amazing. If you were not walking, you know, this amazing life and doing what you're doing, you'd be doing everyone a disjustice because someone needs you, right? People need you, people need me. People need everyone. Like we all have a power. So it's really important to be flexible with how you get there.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like a diet, right? There's 1,000 different diets out there, and you can kickbox and you can do HIIT class, and there's a million ways to lose weight, but just surrender and ask, say, okay, I'm ready to be healthy. I need to be healthy and create this. All of a sudden you will meet someone at the grocery store that says, hey, you want to come work out? Don't we work out together? Haven't I seen you? Right? Like all of a sudden God just puts people and things into your life. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like if I want to be a speaker, all of a sudden I see you're on stage somewhere. And I'm like, hey, Clara, how'd you get on that gig? And you'd be like, oh, let me introduce you. Like that's the success leaves clues. You guys got to be open enough to see that. Because when you're stuck in no, it's not a part of the plan. It's not a part of the how. It's not.
If you're too regimented, you're going to miss the opportunities.
You're going to miss the people. You're going to miss the love. Yeah.
So let's move on to number 6.
Last one.
Yeah.
You knew that, well, if you don't know this is coming, it's coming because I'm a no BS type of coach. So you've got to focus in on action, right? You can envision it.
You got to work.
You got to work. I'm so sorry, ladies. Yes. I would love to say you can just think your way skinny, and I'm sure in some cultures they believe that. But I truly believe that, you know, your mind has to match what you say, right? And it goes back to walking that walk until it starts to become you. But baby steps, don't get caught up in the big, right? So think if I want to do X, let me break it all the way down into the very first baby step, the 1%. What can I do today that makes me a better version of me than yesterday, right? Like maybe it's one less cigarette. Maybe it's one less mean conversation. Maybe it's one conversation of not talking crap about your neighbor, right? Like something that is a better version of you 1% every day. So I honestly, what do you think?
Yeah, and I love that. And I think just, again, really getting clear, going back to the vision, who is it I need to become? And then what are the habits and the disciplines? If I want to be healthier, well, how many glasses of water do I need to drink a day? Or whatever it may be. And then actually do it. Take the actions to do that. If you want your business, doing discovery calls or reach out calls, whatever you want to call them, connection calls. If you want to be in better health, it could start with, I'm going to move my body for 15 minutes. You don't have to define that it has to be a run or a HIIT class. It could just be I'm just going to start with moving my body. That could be a dance party. It could be taking your dog for a walk, whatever it is.
You could be parking at the end of the friggin' driveway and walking your happy booty cheeks back up, to the grocery store.
Exactly.
Like, it stinks in Nebraska.
You do.
It's cold, but you
another one of my favorite quotes is, life happens at the level of movement, not words. We can't just say we're going to be successful. We can't just say we're going to boss up.
Yeah.
We actually do have to take the action, because we aren't going to be able to become the boss unless we take the actions to be the boss.
And imperfect action. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
Women, we love to be perfect. Just take imperfect,
that.
empowered action and just know that you're like, okay, either way, whether this conversation, this call is a no or a yes, I've moved, I've taken action, right?
Yeah, and also understanding too, it's not about perfection, it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And also understanding that it's just in those little steps. It's that 1 degree, like you said, and you don't have to do everything, but every day do something. One of my favorite quotes I've been saying a lot lately is, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said this. If you don't know who Dwayne is, I have a big fan crush on him. I do love The Rock.
I do love The Rock. I've been following him since his wrestling days. But he says, if you want to achieve your dreams, you either need to step up and take action, or you're going to find excuses. And so many people will find excuses. Yeah. There is absolutely no excuse of why you can't live your best life. I'm just going to say it how it is. There's no reason why you can't boss up to the next level. You've just got to figure out what your excuses are and then be willing to no longer make them, right?
And I think just going back to, your life is worth and your dreams are worth 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, and going into what is the cost of not doing it. Because the truth is, that reality is there for you.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you're coming from, who you are, what background you have, that reality, that vision is there for you, just waiting for you.
Yes. I love that. Let's bring up this here with the last couple of minutes we have. You hold one, I'll hold another. This was a big movement for us.
It was. This is how we met.
This is how we met. We became sisterhood here, and Women Who Boss Up, right? It says secrets of success from women who have leveled up in life, health, and business. We come from all walks of life, and the reason why I say that this was a big book for me was because I got to collaborate with so many amazing women. Which made me feel like I'm not alone in this crazy world. I actually found other women who are go-getters. It's hard to find women who have big dreams and goals, and it's exciting then to sit and network and have coffee with, like, dang, that dream is amazing. Like, I'd love to be in on that. But yeah, so they can, if you are interested, I know we give books like this to all of our guests, but if they're interested in getting a book, a signed copy, DM Clara and I, right? We're happy to send you, a copy, and just really, we each take a chapter and we highlight our own strategies and our expertise. But what did this book mean to you?
What I loved about this book is this was actually my second book that I did, and this came out during COVID. I remember doing the call with Tam, who put it together in April, and COVID really hit in March, and here it was. Going into the unknown as a speaker, as a trainer, my business went from being at the airport every week to nothing.
Yeah.
And here it was saying, I'm going to boss up.
Boss up.
And it really, it saved me. It saved me because it kept my eye on the prize. It really helped me remember that I choose my own future.
Yeah.
And that I wasn't going to let the circumstances of, the
COVID,
world and the economy, I wasn't going to let that take control of me, that I was in complete control of writing my own future. And, it just grew. And again, knowing that there is a community. And I think that's another big success secret. If I could add a strategy into yours, it would be the surrounding yourself with others who are going to push you.
Right.
You know, and really getting that accountability. I remember one of my accountability partners, you know, I'm an idea girl and I had all these great ideas. And she said to me one time, you know, all your ideas are great, but I'm really sick of hearing about them. Are you actually going to do anything?
Do it, yeah.
And I was like, ooh, snap.
Ouch.
But I wasn't mad at her because she was coming from a place of love. And so I think, you know, a big part of bossing up is understanding that you're going to need to ask help and you're going to need to surround yourself. So seek out and find
100%.
those other
100%.
people. So what an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing all those strategies that we're going through. And I just think, again, just always knowing that you have everything within you to be successful and to boss up.
Yeah.
So taking these tips, these nuggets, and helping you go forward. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for following us today. We hope these strategies will help you live in abundance and step into your own greatness. Remember, you can watch all of our episodes on motivationandsuccess.com or on Keeping Real on livingrealtv.com. Thanks for joining us.